protests across the United States. Tea Party protests are erupting across the country. Angry taxpayers, or at least some of them, are taking to the streets in the spirit of the Boston Tea Party. People are protesting President Obama's massive $787 billion stimulus bill, his $3.55 trillion budget, and the federal government that has been ballooning by the day since the president took office.
I don't believe it's responsible of the president to vote for to sign bills that have not been read by Congress. I believe it's totally misrepresenting what this country stands for, and I'm not going to stand for it. So I'm out here with everybody else.
We're urging everyone to take action, protest, call your congressman, let them know you are sick and tired of the out-of-control spending.
We're here to send a message to Washington to repeal the stimulus package, and if our congressmen and senators don't pay attention to our message, we want them to understand that we have people across the country who are willing to work hard to retire them.
Joining us live is Steve Moore, senior economics writer for the Wall Street Journal and co-author of The End of Prosperity. Steve, there have been demonstrations in France and Russia over economic policies of their government. Now we have this. What does it mean? Or is this sort of just a blip, or is this significant?
You know, it's just erupted, Greta, spontaneously, and it's erupted all over the country. I've talked to a lot of these protesters. You know what I'm finding is interesting, Greta, about this, is what people are protesting about is the fairness. They don't think it's fair that they have to pay more taxes to bail out people who didn't pay their mortgage. They don't think it's fair that they have to pay more taxes for auto companies that are mismanaged. They don't think it's fair that they have to pay $1 trillion more in debt and taxes to pay to try to bail out companies that didn't pay by the rules. And so it's the fairness issue. And also Americans, a lot of them, don't think that these programs are going to work, and they're very concerned about the debt that we're incurring. We talked about it last night. And, you know, what's happened with this budget that Barack Obama introduced yesterday, it was like lighting a match in a munitions factory. People just are in a stage of revolt against it.
All right, one big news item today, Citigroup and the U.S. enter into some sort of deal or some sort of arrangement. Has the United States nationalized Citigroup? I know it's said that the government says it has not, but has it? What's the definition of nationalization?
You know, Greta, we've nationalized it in everything but name. The federal government now owns about 70% of the shares of Citibank. It is a tragic transformation. This is a company that just a year ago was worth tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars. Now the shares of Citibank stock are selling for less than what it costs in terms of fees at their ATM machines. I think the shares are now selling for something like $1.50 to $2 a share. It is a tragic story of mismanagement, and you're right, we have moved towards effectively de facto nationalization of this once great mighty bank.
What does the average American get out of this nationalization? People sitting at home tonight are watching this and saying, okay, if it's been nationalized, what do I get?
Well, it ties into what we were just talking about, doesn't it, Greta? People are angry around the country that we've turned into this kind of country that bails out anyone that has a failed business plan. We've moved from a country that believes in the survival of the fittest to the survival of the unfittest. And it's the accumulation of this, Greta. It started 6 months ago with George Bush and Hank Paulson when they did the $700 billion bailout plan. And all we're getting every 2 or 3 weeks is more bailout plans now under the Obama administration. And what happened with Citi today is just another example of throwing good tax dollars, in my opinion, after bad.
Taxpayers are hearing across the nation in the last couple of days cap and trade. What is that, and why should anyone have any interest in that sitting at home tonight?
Well, we shouldn't be doing this right now when we've got our manufacturing in such a state of disrepair. You know, this is basically a tax on all manufacturers, on all utility companies. It would mean if we put in cap and trade in place, and this is meant to, by the way, reduce greenhouse gases. The problem is this is the worst time to be doing it. You know, we've already got our automobile manufacturers that are flat on their back. There's no way that this cap and trade tax is going to put American manufacturing, in my opinion, in a better shape. I think it's going to put them in a lot worse ones. And, you know, the people who are going to be revolting against this one, I predict in the next few months, are going to be the union workers who traditionally very strongly support Barack Obama, but this puts their jobs very much at stake.
It's Obama spreading panic. That's the title of Dick Morris's new column. In it, Dick criticizes President Obama for not doing enough to stop global panic about the economy. Whether or not you agree with Dick Morris, it is true the president used very ominous language talking about our economy.
You don't need to hear another list of statistics to know that our economy is in crisis. In the coming years would transform the American economy amidst brutal and unyielding depression. Even if your neighbor hasn't been hit by foreclosures, you're likely feeling the effects of this crisis in other ways. The situation we face could not be more serious. I don't have to tell you that. We've inherited an economic crisis as deep and as dire as any since the Great Depression. Doing little or nothing at all will result in even greater deficits, even greater job loss, even greater loss of income, and even greater loss of confidence.
Dick Morris is the author of Fleece and joins us live from the Study Hotel at Yale in New Haven, Connecticut. Dick, I know how important it is that the president instill a sense of enthusiasm or optimism in us as we go out into the economy so we can stimulate it. On the other hand, we don't want him to lie to us and say that it's great. It's not. The Dow dropped 119 or something today. It's bad. What do you want him to do?
Well, the more he talks about how bad it is, the more he makes it bad. And it isn't that I don't think he's not doing enough to make us feel confident. His deliberate strategy, in my judgment, from the time he got elected until now, has been to magnify our fears of crisis so that he can get his stimulus package passed and his socialization of health care and his huge tax increases. That's what he wants to do. And this is not a means to an end. That is the end. And by making us feel that the world is falling apart and the sky is caving in, he does two things. First of all, he assures that it is, and secondly, he makes sure he can get his programs passed.
So are you saying that it's not just about economic recovery, but it's about an ideology as well, and he's sort of wrapping the pessimism around the economic recovery issue in an effort to achieve a particular ideology?
Couldn't have said it better. Exactly true. Yes. Precisely. You could never get $800 billion through Congress of deficit spending, increasing the deficit from 400 to 1.2 in one day. You could never get these $1 trillion of tax hikes through. Clinton tried to get medical care through government through, and he couldn't do it. But you can if you convince everybody that they're all going to drop dead unless you succeed at it. And what he's done is that everybody who has a job now is worried about losing it. Everyone who has a home now is worried about losing it. And as a result, nobody's spending money. And he is transforming a recession into a depression, a downturn into a crash, and a disaster into a catastrophe.
Isn't that what he told every single American, though? I'm going to give you change. And when he's talking about change, wasn't he talking about ideology? And isn't he, whether you like it or not, delivering on what he told every single person for the last 2 years he was going to do?
The problem is it's entirely in the wrong direction. You know, Lyndon Johnson's hallmark, Greta, was the war on poverty. Barack Obama's hallmark is the war on prosperity.
So now what? I mean, so let's say you and I are having this conversation a year from now. What do you predict is going to be the situation? I mean, I take it we're either going to be singing great praises that he's a brilliant man, or what a fool, and look what he's done to us. Which one is it going to be, and how do we know?
B. It's going to be what a fool we've been, what a fool he was. Because, look, everything that he hoped to accomplish in this stimulus package, he is vitiating, repealing, blocking by his tax package. He's going to people and saying, please have confidence, please spend money, please make investments, please act like everything's going to be great. But in 18 months, you're going to fall off a cliff and I'm going to take every dime you have. I feel a little bit like a hog being encouraged to eat, knowing that he's tomorrow's breakfast.
And I believe in freedom. Because if you stop them from having their freedom to make their political statement, you have stopped yourself. You have stopped everyone. This country is about freedom. Only with freedom can you have all of the other things that everybody professes that they want.
The prisoner wishes to say a word.